Tonight in the news,
the youth to have jobs, roads to be made.
A section of MPs have asked some youths who have turned political campaigns a daily economic activity to engage in meaningful economic activities.
Yet, from cassava here, we can make starch.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni launches Day Biopharma Company, a local drug manufacturing firm.
So communities need to be trained. We want them to come for antenatal care.
Also tonight, expectant mothers have been asked to visit health centers to prevent complications and possible death during childbirth. In sports, Gol FC has defeated SC Villa 1-0 in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League to cement their position at the top of the league table. It is the 21st of October 2022. Thank you for joining PM Edition. I'm Kalachi Brian with Isaac Luchams for your sign language interpretation. Starting us off today, Day Biopharma Company, one of its kind, is located in Matuga, Wakiso District. Its focus is on producing human medicines, veterinary medicines, among other drugs. It has been commissioned today by the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and we were there to bring you the report.
The establishment of the factory was triggered by the crisis brought about by the scarcity of COVID-19 drugs and vaccines in the country due to the competition on the global market. President Museveni says the factory will make Uganda gain independence from the global pharmaceutical companies.
We don't want the economy yokusaka. Buli kintu kyonna kya kusaka. Importing.
COVID-19 has amplified the urgent need for African countries to invest in effective and efficient regulation of medicines, medical products, and technologies. The ratification and establishment of the African Medicine Agency will be an essential instrument to strengthen the fight against substandard and falsified medicines and medical products.
Globally, $1.4 trillion are spent on medicines and vaccines. Day Biopharma Pharmaceutical Company targets market especially in East Africa and elsewhere across the world. However, to attain the dream, government has to improve its laws, especially the mandate of the National Drug Authority, a body that regulates drugs in Uganda.
They have told us that there are some few clauses, about 3 of them, within the NDA law, which we are going to change using Parliament and Cabinet. And once those things are done, we will automatically attain maturity level 3.
Dr. Bitecherezo says until the World Health Organization approves drugs manufactured in Uganda to level 3, medical products made in the country might struggle to access regional and world markets.
But we are talking about producing a drug that can hit the world market. I am not saying the drugs are substandard. No. The law of NDA has to be slightly altered so that whenever we do things, they hit the world market.
Bitecherezo believes Ugandans are set to benefit from the pharmaceutical industry, especially farmers.
Why? Because they are using imported starch from India. Yet, from cassava here, we can make starch.
Speaking on behalf of the proprietor, the acting managing director, Benedict Mihigo, decried detractors who tried to stand in their way. He says many wanted the project to fail, including threatening potential investors.
This time he came to me very frustrated that he has to continuously explain himself to the agencies because no one thought that an African, a Ugandan, is an entrepreneur. They wanted to see a white skin.
Day Biopharma Pharmaceutical Company brings the total number of pharmaceutical industries in Uganda to 43, with 11 pending. Ramson Muhire, CTV PM Edition.
Members of Parliament have asked youths to forget about politicking and focus on matters that can develop them. The call comes at a time when youths from the ruling National Resistance Movement have started campaigning for President Museveni to contest again in 2026, yet he's barely 2 years into his 6th term. Take a look.
A group of youths who subscribe to the ruling National Resistance Movement this week started a campaign for President Museveni. They are asking him to contest in the 2026. Museveni would have ruled for 40 years. The group were led by a one Hadija Namyalo.
Omalako jaja tova kumeini. Anyaluleta.
Another group of mainly the youth have been traversing the country, organizing parties and football events to introduce President Museveni's son, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, as their preferred presidential candidate come 2026 general elections. However, a section of members of parliament have condemned the youths who have turned political campaigns as a daily economic activity. The MPs say such an approach will only drive the youth to poverty.
There is time for harvesting, there is time for sowing, there is time for planting, and there is time for weeding. Ugandans do not know this. Every time is a party time. Every time is a political occasion. It's not bad for youth to come out and start saying President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni should come back and contest. It's okay. It is right. Just as it is my right, it is your right to come out and contest. And it's also your right to have supporters to come out and back you. It's a point. But let them give the president time. The president is just from an election. 2 years back, he was in court. He won. He has 5 years of delivering of service. He hasn't yet started on it. He has a manifesto he has to perform. When you start diverting the
problems of this country are beyond individuals. Actually, people, light-minded people, discuss individuals. That's why people continue to talk about Museveni. We talk about ideas. Our problems are to bring electricity closer to the people, affordable electricity. Our problems are to eradicate poverty in all its forms. Our problems are to bring water to the people. Our problems are for people to get out of poverty, people to have some money, the youth to have jobs.
They say that supporting or blocking a political party should not be a daily business, more especially at a time when it's almost 3 to 4 years to the next polls.
A country cannot be in politics throughout the 5-year term. Then we ask yourself, at what time do you work, and how do you, if we are saying we want to fight poverty, we improve the lives of the people, when do we do that?
One, I think it's a constitutional issue, because our freedoms are enshrined in the Constitution. If you look at Article 29 of the Constitution, the rights that the Ugandans have, people have the rights and the freedoms of expression. Yes, so anybody is free to express what they feel they want to tell the people, as long as you don't hurt and harm others. So of course people have their opinions, and expressions are personal to others, so let everybody express what they want to say. Even me, I have the capacity to express whatever I want to express.
Because our problem is Uganda to get out of the situation that it is. Our problems are not Museveni. Museveni can as well remain on the main road, but give us a country to run.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni joined politics when he was a teenager. He was in early 20s. Is it the same case right now? What are our teenagers doing? We are on TikTok looking for content to dance and promiscuous around. We are on betting. That's what we are doing. We are on drugs, we are on alcohol. And now, where have we found ourselves? We have found ourselves that we are not worth even leading this country. Go to other countries. Go to international countries. You find youths of 15 years, 16 years already participating in active politics. They have vision of becoming president. Come to Uganda. Uganda, we are asking our father, who has paid us through UPE, USE, we're going to university, but still everything he has done, actually we are ashamed to the president.
Uganda has made another important step on the road towards the elimination of neglected tropical diseases by 2030 to meet the 2030 neglected tropical diseases roadmap target. This was at the celebrations of the successful elimination of sleeping sickness in Uganda in Kampala today.
Sleeping sickness is a life-threatening disease that afflicts poor people, mostly in rural areas. The disease is carried by tsetse. In Africa, the disease has for long tormented communities in West, Central and East Africa, where 2 different variants of the disease were rife. Uganda joins Benin, Togo and Rwanda to validation from the World Health Organization that at least one form of human African trypanosomiasis has been eliminated as a public health problem. On the April 24, 2022, Uganda received a letter from the World Health Organization that it had eliminated Gambiansi type of sleeping sickness and it was no longer a public health concern. Since the 1920s, Uganda has been implementing interventions to eliminate sleeping sickness. Uganda is the only country where both forms are endemic, but has now achieved the elimination of the Gambiansi type of sleeping sickness. Rhodensi form of sleeping sickness, which is rampant in central and southern regions, is yet to be eliminated. Dr. Bai Fatumbi, the World Health Organization country representative, explains the criteria for validation of elimination.
We will have been watching the pattern of your data, and we must be sure that your data is credible. And when we now look at the data in a very credible manner, we will also look at reports, program reports. What are the interventions that you will put in the dossier? Then we go through the dossier. Dossier is always very tough to prepare. It could take.
Dr. Albert Mogenyi from the Ministry of Health says insecurity in some areas can affect the operations.
Much as this is number 10, it must be addressed. Otherwise, we get back into the problems.
According to Dr. General Thacheng, the health minister, Uganda has no cases of sleeping sickness Gambianese type, much as it can reoccur if frontline health workers relax.
Because we still have threats coming from South Sudan and from the DRC that still have it. Therefore means that we have to intensify our efforts in surveillance and pick out cases immediately it occurs. But how do we do this? It means the cross-border collaboration must continue so that working together with our colleagues on the other side of the borders from South Sudan and DRC, we ensure that no cases cross back into Uganda.
She adds, Uganda has made efforts in eliminating some of the neglected tropical diseases like neonatal tetanus, geinworm, and now Gambiansi type of sleeping sickness.
We have the acute type, rhodesiense, that is majorly in some of the areas in Kyoga and Busoga region. It is time to rise up and get rid of them because they are a socio-economic issue affecting our cattle and affecting the livelihoods of the people.
Safi Mokili Baluku and Shamim Natewa, CTV, PM Edition.
The next one.
We'll take a short break. PM Edition returns with more interesting stories. Don't blink.
Do you love me?
Very much.
I'll catch you one day. Pants down.
I want to spoil you. I want you to eat my money.
She believes I'm in love with her guy. Will you go? If I had to live everywhere I'm not loved, where would I end up? The dirty guy hides in the hospital for 40 years, but at night, he walks the streets, commits crimes, and then he comes back and pretends to be alive again.
I will break you, Spooky.
Do not answer any question about Roho kwa Roho. He's your brain!
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink.
Hits it in the air. Will that be set? He's done it! What a magnificent performance!
Recharge
Charge your day with Sting. Extreme energy, refreshing taste, available countrywide. Sting, life switched on, from the makers of Pepsi.
Sometimes in life, we spend all the time trying to live other people's life. And along the way, we lose who we are by copying what other people are doing in their relationship.
You see, from the last time I met your sister, I've not spent a day or a minute without thinking about her.
It's a good surprise on a Monday. This is nice.
So you and him are we're just friends. Wow. Come on.
Just friends. You either tell me where you're from or you go back to where you've been. Thinking it would work out for us, but yet to find out that's not who we are after experiencing a great disappointment.
She's in love with some other man, so classy, a gentleman, not bulldogs like you.
These are the mistakes girls do.
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. CTV is now on StarTimes. You can now catch all your favorite programs, our daily comprehensive news bulletins, and so much more on StarTimes channel number 248. Stay tuned for a world of endless possibilities. CTV. Don't blink.
Thank you for keeping it CTV. I'm Kalachi Brian with Isaac Richards on Sign Language. Well, expectant mothers have been asked to frequently visit health centers to be monitored by health workers, which reduces incidences of pregnancy complications and death during birth. According to medical experts, some maternal deaths occur because expectant mothers resort to consulting untrained traditional birth attendants instead of going to gazetted health centers. We have more.
Every year, Uganda celebrates Safe Motherhood Week in different parts of the country. Safe motherhood, according to experts, means the process through which a parent takes full responsibility in caring for the young ones during the early stages of the infant's life. 2016 figures from the Ministry of Health indicate that the number of mothers who die every day during childbirth have reduced from 18 to 9 women. According to Dr. Chabayinze, a full week has been designated for safe motherhood, with a caution to expectant mothers to avoid using untrained birth attendants.
They are going for other reasons to try and reach the health facility, but also communities need to be trained. We want them to come for antenatal care. If you come for antenatal care, many times with a professional, skilled attendants, then you have confidence that when I'm ready to deliver, I'll come and deliver in this facility.
Dr. Chabayinza says the Ministry of Health has taken steps in reducing maternal mortality ratio from 523 per 100,000 live births to 336 per 100,000 live births.
Uganda has registered gains towards reduction in maternal mortality ratio from 523 per 1,000 live births, as recorded in the Uganda Demographic Health Survey of 1991, to 336 per 1,000 live births.
Dr. Richard Mugabe, the health expert at the Ministry of Health, says most of deaths are registered in Kampala, Mukono and Wakiso districts, which have the highest number of health centers. Most of the health centers are privately owned.
So access is still limited because of people have to pay. That's why you still find a lot of congestion in Kawempe, in Naguru, in the free facilities. So people are not able to pay. And two, the private facilities, in a way, have issues around quality of care.
And close to 27 of 1,000 live births, babies who are born alive, 27 die. And 81 babies die before they make 3 months. About 81 babies die every day before they make 3 months.
The ministry has also requested government to ensure that private health facilities do not operate below standards. The Safe Motherhood Week start will be marked from October 24th. Story by Chris Semalemo Semakula for CTV PM Edition.
Teenage mothers who conceived during the 2-year COVID-19 lockdown have received sewing machines and other light equipment that could help them to earn a living. The over 70 teenage mothers are receiving care and skilling at the Teenage Mothers and Support Foundation. Champion Bet, a gaming company, donated the equipment.
Don't get pregnant when you're not ready. Things are not easy.
This 16-year-old girl conceived during a 2-year COVID-19 lockdown between 2019 and 2021. She was in senior 4 and was impregnated by a fellow student who has since joined university.
I missed my piece, then I went to him and I told him, do you know what, Juma? I'm pregnant.
This young girl, who has a 9-month-old baby, regrets the pregnancy. She, however, hopes that one day she would be able to go back to school.
It's me who's caring for the baby because for now he's at campus and he's not working. So you can't call him and tell him that the baby is sick because he's also not working.
She's not alone. She's one of the dozens of teenage mothers who are receiving care, rehabilitation, and skilling at Teenage Mothers and Support Foundation in Boyogere Lebuto. According to the founder of the initiative, Josh Mayanja, they are giving skills to over 70 girls in this area, especially those who conceived during COVID-19.
Fight for their rights and also support those that are already carrying children. We skill them in tailoring, hairdressing, and caterally.
This is one of the reasons why Champion Bet, a gaming company, has extended a helping hand to the vulnerable girls. They donated materials like sewing machines, training materials, an oven for baking, materials for breastfeeding mothers, among other items.
How are we helping them out? A mother needs, when they're going for birth, what do they need? Mama kits. We are providing mama kits. After that, what do they need? They'll need diapers, they'll need pampers, they'll need even pads, as they're still young. So we provide all those. We have made sure to provide all that for them, prepare them for that. Then we say, after giving birth, what next? Are they able to go back to school or not? If not yet, what skill can they acquire? So let's do the skilling.
Of what we have seen in the community, someone becoming a mother at a young age, it comes with very many challenges. One of them is school dropping out. One drops out of school, and you know that is almost, so that is what we believe the future is. They become marginalized in the community, and that is something we are trying to bring to an end.
The Deputy Mayor for Chira Municipality, Rashida Nanyonga, says the teenage mothers will be transformed. Their support comes at a time when the Minister of Education said all girls who got pregnant during the lockdown should be given a second chance to go back to school. Tony Patila Humza, Chris Semalemo Semakula, CTV Edition.
Away from Uganda, in Chad, a curfew has been declared in 3 towns after security forces killed at least 60 protesters who are demanding the resignation of transitional president Mahamat Idris Deby. And Nigerians have taken to the streets to mark the second anniversary of the end of SARS protests, calling out police for its brutality and human rights abuse. Police fired tear gas to disperse the rallying Nigerians. The Prime Minister of Chad announced a nighttime curfew declared in 3 Chadian cities, Djamena, Modou, Doba and Komra, after violently replaced armed protests took place. On Thursday, security forces opened fire on demonstrators in the country's 2 largest cities, killing at least 60 people and wounding hundreds. The protesters are demanding the ouster of Mahamat Idris Deby Itno, who took over in the wake of his father's assassination 18 months ago. The 38-year-old general formed what he called a unity government following his appointment as head of the transition after a national forum. On the same day, the first cabinet meeting was taking place. The president did not comment on the country's deadliest protest in recent years. His prime minister announced a nighttime curfew until the total restoration of order. On the international scene, however, the African Union and the UN were among the voices condemning the lethal use of force on civilians. AU chairman of the commission, Moussa Faki Mahamat, wrote on Twitter condemning the crackdown that has caused many deaths in Chad. The Chadian Prime Minister said the deaths mainly occurred in Djamena and the southern cities of Modol and Komra. The exact death toll remains unknown. Victims include journalist Narcisse Odige, who was struck by a bullet. The youth-led October 2020 demonstrations in Lagos and elsewhere evolved into the largest anti-government protests in Nigeria's modern history before security forces ended them in a crackdown. Rights groups say at least 10 people were shot dead by security forces on October 20th, 2020 at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos, the epicenter of the protests, a claim the government and the army have repeatedly denied. Carrying banners and flags, a group of protesters rallied along the major expressway near Lekki on Thursday before police fired tear gas and water cannon to disperse them as cars passed by. Lagos State Police spokesman Benjamin Hundeini said some protesters were dispersed at Thursday's rally after unruly behavior. Governance, jobs and security will be the focus for many young Nigerians in February's general election when the country votes for the success of President Muhammadu Buhari, who steps down after his 2 terms allowed by the constitution. The 2020 End SARS protests erupted initially against police abuses, with the rallying name referencing the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, which was later disbanded. Amnesty International said at least 10 people were shot dead when security forces opened fire on peaceful protesters at the Lekki toll gate 2 years ago. But the army said only blank rounds were used to break up a crowd that was defying a curfew. According to a leaked copy of the report, an investigative panel set up by the Lagos state government concluded last November that the armed forces shot and killed unarmed protesters in what could be considered a massacre. In our international wrap, the Electoral Commission in Pakistan has announced that former Prime Minister Imran Khan will not be running for public office for at least 5 years over corruption charges. And a report from the White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby has confirmed Iranian troops are assisting Russia in the use of kamikaze drones. Here is more. Local media reported that Pakistani's Election Commission on Friday disqualified former Prime Minister Imran Khan for 5 years from holding public office over charges of unlawfully selling state gifts received from heads of other nations and foreign dignitaries. Imran's lawyer Gohar Khan said that the Election Commission of Pakistan has declared Imran Khan was involved in corrupt practices and that they will challenge it in the Islamabad High Court. The case is another twist in the political tussle since even before Imran's ouster in April. It is one of several cases being fought by the former international cricket star and his Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party. The case centers on a government department known as Toshakhana, which during the Mughal era referred to the treasure houses kept by the subcontinent's princely rulers to store and display gifts they received. Government officials are supposed to declare all gifts but can keep only those below a certain value. More expensive items must go to Toshakhana, but in some cases the recipient can buy them back at around 50% of their value. Imran raised this discount from 20% while in office. Pakistan newspapers have been reporting about how Imran and his wife received expensive gifts such as luxury watches, jewelry, designer handbags and perfumes during trips abroad. Khan failed to declare some gifts or the profit made from selling them. When the charges were first brought against him, he admitted to non-declaring some gifts on national security grounds. But later, in a written submission, he admitted buying items worth nearly 22 million rupees, an equivalent of $100,000, and later selling them for more than twice that amount. Biden administration officials have said that the US has evidence about Iran sending troops to Crimea in Ukraine to assist Russia with drone attacks. The Ukrainian capital Kyiv was struck by kamikaze drones on Monday that were deployed by Russia but reportedly Iran-made. John Kirby, White House National Security Council spokesperson, told reporters in a teleconference that Iran sent trainers and technical support to enable Russian forces to use Iranian-made drones with better lethality. It said that Tehran is now directly engaged on the ground and through the provision of weapons that are impacting civilians and civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. Russian military was facing trouble operating these drones, which is why Iranian troops were sent to help them. Kabi said that the systems themselves were suffering failures and not performing to the standards that apparently the customers expected. When asked about the number of Iranians in Crimea, Kabi said he was not sure, adding that they were relatively a small number. Earlier, reports had said that Russian troops had initially gone to Iran to receive training on them. Kabi State Department spokesperson Ned Price informed that a number of such drones have been deployed by Moscow in Ukraine. The attacks have damaged a third of the country's power stations, leaving people in the dark and restrictions on the usage of power. Kabi also raised the administration's concerns regarding Iran sending surface-to-surface missiles in view of the dwindling supply of ammunition. The international wrap takes us into another break. Coming up next is Sports News.
To the game unbeaten after 3 games. The two teams had opportunities to lead in the first half, but defenders on both sides were so solid, sending the teams to the break without a goal. Bull FC, who were the hosts, came into the second half with hunger for goals. They were rewarded with 2 minutes to the end of the 90 minutes of the game when Richard Wanyaka scored a beautiful effort to hand them maximum points. Bull FC remain top after 4 games with 10 points, and SC Villa remain in the second position on 7 points. KCCA, who finished second last season, host current champions Vipers at the MTN Phil Pomwandi Stadium in Lugogo. These two teams have won 9 of the last 10 trophies over the last decade, but KCCA has failed to defeat the Venoms in the last 5 league encounters, with their last win coming in 2019. KCCA's head coach, Molai Bekwaso, says his team is prepared to win in front of the home fans.
We need to focus on the present. The present is how we are standing on the table, how we've been performing. We need to pull up our socks to see that we play well and we win tomorrow's game. And I think according to the way we've been training, according to the way we've been focusing, I think tomorrow we shall have a better game and we shall win.
Tony Patila Humza, CTV, Pim Edition.
Puts the ball wide.
It's a wrap for tonight's edition. Friday night is here. That means the weekend is here. If you plan to go out, take care of yourself. Do not drink and drive. I'm Kalachi Brian with Isaac Richards on Sign Language. We wish you a good night.